Hey, welcome back to Danford Golf Instruction. Today we're going to talk about the transition into the downswing. We're going to talk about a little bit about this last Masters champion, Hideki's swing, and some of the moves that he has in his downswing that he had to kind of change in the last few months that helped him become so successful and a Masters champion. So as always, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. We appreciate any support that you can give us. And then we're going to go ahead and get started on how we can make our transition into our downswing a little bit more efficient. At some time or other, everybody's transition starts to get off as far as the rhythm goes. Even the best players on tour. That's what makes some guys like Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods so amazing, is their rhythm really always kind of came out in the major tournaments. It was very similar. Their swing might have looked a little bit different, but since their rhythm was always so good, they were still be able to play at some of their top levels. All right, so today, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about that transition move, something that you can kind of do to help you with the transition. So, very easily, transition. You get to the top of the backswing, transition into the downswing. Okay, most of us, when we get to the top of the backswing, we rush it automatically. That's the first big mistake that I see. When people who get to the top, they may have a really short backswing and they rush it really hard because they're trying to hit it from the top of their backswing as hard as they can. So what ends up happening is they end up throwing the club early, right, arms straight early, so they lose all that extra power that they've been thinking they're storing up. Right, and then all their speed is left back here. Okay, so pretty simply, if you are not quite sure if you're that person, if you just turn your club over, your driver over, whatever you want it to be, and you swing, and it feels like all the whoosh is behind you, then automatically you know where your power is, and your transition, you're too fast from the top. So you need to just work on feeling like all that whoosh is either at the ball. I prefer beyond the ball. Right, because most likely if it's beyond the ball, you'll actually have most of your power at the golf ball. And we want all our speed basically between here and here at the bottom of our golf swing. All right, so that's a very simple thing that you can do to help your transition, is just figure out where all your speed needs to be. The second thing, right, I've done this video right, and if you have a lot of tension in your jaw, you're going to feel it. So if you take that potato chip and you swing down, right, and basically crunch on that potato chip, you're really working hard, and you got basically your jaw is tight, so it needs to stay loose. That's another thing that can help you with transition, right? That can help you with your downswing or your transition. Is basically when you get to the top of your backswing, I want you to feel like there's a pause on top. You just nice and easy pause, and then you just feel like the club slowly comes down, and then you try to whip it through at the end. Right? Since most of the time our biggest fault is going hard from up top, right? Give yourself a chance to kind of stop on top. This is a really good drill you can do too, is to just practice taking it to the top and then swinging it all down together. That's going to help you time stuff up in your downswing. All right, so if we're kind of talking about Hideki and how he just won the Masters, all right, we all know that his backswing for a long time he was super slow. It's like a 5-second backswing just to get to the top, then he'd pause, and then he'd go all together. And so he was taught that, I think, probably by his father, because his father was his coach until about 6 months ago, I think they said on telecast. And this has been the big thing that he's trying to transition, is to get rid of the over pause on the top of his backswing. All right, so we can actually add some of that into most of our golf swings, since we tend to rush it on the downswing. So when you get to the top, just think about Hideki, how he held it up there forever and then come all down together. All right? That's a very good way for you to start to time up your downswing a little bit better. Now, so as we've talked about the transition, a few ideas. Now we need to talk about kind of the downswing, and we're just going to take it down to about hip high. We're not going to talk about the impact part today. So when you get it to the top of your backswing, as you come down, what it should look like is when your hands get basically level with your belt line right here, your legs should almost look like it's just one image, right? to see hips wide open. We don't want to see hips closed. Right here, hold it for a few seconds. Transition down. All right, hands get right even with your belt line. A lot of us spin hard or up here still. Some of us might not spin at all. So we get flipping at it, and then you see the kind of the chicken wings that some people produce because their body isn't turning. All right, so a good drill that I learned kind of growing up was when I would take it to the top, because I'd get a little bit fast on the way down, is I'd do 1 pump, 2 pump, and 3. I would come through and hit the golf ball. So that's a really good drill to help you with the timing in your downswing. All right, just to sum it up real quick, to help you with your transition, right, first kind of take the tension out of your jaw, out of your body, out of your arm. Number 2, try not to death grip it on the way down so that club doesn't cast. Try not to get all that speed out there. Try to get it at the bottom. Turn that club over, listen for the bottom. All right, and then just give yourself a chance on top. You don't have to rush it so far from the top. Little pause, right? If you've ever seen 10 Cup, this wasn't part of the video, but I thought of it. He said a little nod to the gods. So when he took it to the top, it felt like there was a little nod to the gods, and then he would swing down. All right, so just give yourself a chance on top. Don't rush it so hard from up top. Just really work on that timing. When you take your chance, kind of pause the top bills, hands even with the belt. And that's some really simple tips to help you with your transition into your downswing, to kind of get that downswing, get those hands level with that belt line. All right, and I promise you, if you really concentrate on working on your transition into your downswing, you're going to hit the ball a lot better. You're going to feel like you're not trying as hard. You're going to hit the ball further too. Right? So concentrate on the transition. Backswing doesn't have to be perfect. Downswing, it's debatable. It's pretty important, especially the club face. Club face is king. All right, but if you get that transition down, I promise you that you will start to hit the ball better.